Update. Am I the asshole for telling my sister that I won't change my wedding? Original post. I, 27 female, am getting married to my fiancé, Raj, 29 male, in a couple of months. We're having a traditional, lavish Indian wedding, which has been a dream of mine since childhood. I grew up in a mixed household. My father is Hindu and my mother is Christian. While we celebrated both religions growing up, I've always felt more connected to my father's Hindu traditions. My sister, Sarah, 25 female, is also getting married around the same time. She identifies more with our mother's Christian faith and is planning a traditional Christian wedding. Recently, Sarah approached me, expressing concerns that our weddings, being close together, might overshadow hers, especially since mine is more extravagant and involves multiple days of celebration. Sarah asked if I could either tone down my wedding, consider postponing it, or even make it a fully Christian ceremony to balance things out. She believes that having two weddings so close together, with one being significantly grander, would take attention away from hers and create unnecessary stress for our family, who will have to juggle both events. I told her that I understand her concerns, but I've been planning this wedding for over a year, and it means a lot to me to have it the way I've always imagined. I also pointed out that our cultural backgrounds are different, and both weddings will be special in their own ways. Additionally, postponing my wedding would be a huge inconvenience and financial burden for us, given the extensive preparations and bookings already in place. Our wedding dates are 3 weeks apart. We have separate guest lists, but there is some overlap with close family and mutual friends. My mother is siding with Sarah and believes I should change my wedding to a fully Christian ceremony, or at least incorporate significant Christian elements. My father, on the other hand, supports my decision and believes that both of us should have the weddings we want. Sarah was very upset and accused me of being selfish and not caring about her feelings. She thinks I'm prioritizing my wedding over our family's well-being. My mother has started going overboard, constantly criticizing my decision and even threatening not to attend my wedding unless I change it to a Christian ceremony. She's been calling extended family members to persuade them to side with Sarah and boycott my wedding if I don't comply. My father supports my decision and believes that both of us should have the weddings we want. He has been trying to mediate, but the situation is getting more tense by the day. Sarah and I have always had a complicated relationship, and while we support each other, there's often been tension due to our different personalities and choices. Now, I'm feeling torn. I don't want to hurt my sister or cause any family rift, but I also don't want to sacrifice my dream wedding. Also, I'm not in her bridal party or any other things but her wedding as I have mine. I also inherited a lot from great-grandfather as he was Hindu and he gave it to me. I gave my sister 40% of what he gave me, and no one is helping with wedding costs. Am I the asshole for telling my sister that I won't change my wedding? My reaction for OP. Hey OP, from what I've heard so far, I'm with you and your father on this. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Comment 1. Info. Whose wedding was set first? Whoever set a second wedding in such a close date to the other wedding was inconsiderate, especially if the date has no specific meaning. But for sure, what is wrong with your mum? You want a Hindu wedding. Changing it to Christian wedding would make it everything but not your wedding. You probably haven't even thought your sister could change her wedding into a Hindu one, and surely hasn't your mother. She is completely disrespectful to you and your beliefs. Comment 2. That aside, given that the dates were done and decided a long time ago, no, you absolutely shouldn't have to either tone down your wedding or change it to a Christian one to meet your sister or mother's unreasonable demands. Comment 3. Not the asshole. Your sister sounds like a jealous, spoiled brat, and your mother sounds petty and like she is taking your sister's side because she would prefer you have a wedding by her religious standards, and like she may not recognize your marriage because it's not Christian. The fact she tried to sabotage parts of it, including your wedding, lehenga, and decor, I think that deserves her to be uninvited, to be honest. Also, Sarah needs to suck it up and get over it. Sounds like she fought with her boyfriend because you were proposed to. Henpecked the poor dude into proposing. Tried to bully you to get married the same day as her in a Christian ceremony, probably in the hopes you would pay for it to be grand. And then because she didn't get her own way, scheduled it close to yours to spite you. And now she is back to being a spoiled brat, demanding you tone back your wedding so she can shine instead. Here is something to offer her. She can either make her wedding more lavish or change the date of her wedding. Families can be the worst. Edit. A lot of people have asked who has scheduled their wedding first. And I have to say, it was me. When I was proposed to, I asked all my family when they would be available and chose my wedding date then. That took around 3 to 4 weeks. During that time, my sister and her boyfriend were having a fight and weren't talking, but I don't know why. But once he proposed, my sister asked that we have our wedding on the same day, same venue, and I have a Christian wedding like her. I declined. And she decided to go cry to our mum, but my dad wouldn't take any of my mum's shit. She ended up choosing a date 3 weeks later. Now for the updates. Update 1. So, I went to try and talk to my sister, but she didn't let me in unless I told her I would have a Christian ceremony. I declined and left. My mum called me later on, telling me I am a piece of shit for ruining my sister's big day. Honestly, I would have had my wedding months ago, but when a priest checked mine and my fiance's horoscope, we didn't have a date until a year later. I have talked to all my vendors, and though they don't do password protection, they agreed to it. Later on, I found out my mum wanted to change my bridal lehenga and my party decor. Luckily, they didn't let her. Also, my wedding has all of our distant relatives as well as close family. The wedding, my side alone, has 1,734 people. Altogether, we have a guest list of 3,600. My sister tried to get everyone, but she didn't try and coordinate that much. She just sent the invite and told people to spread the word. All my guests are being accommodated by me and my in-laws. My inheritance included a huge castle mansion, sort of thing, which has 100 rooms. I know it's large, but it is really old, and the rest have been booked into resorts by me and my in-laws. My sister didn't offer this. A few people think this is fake, and for some context, I created an account after the drama. Final update. After all the drama with my sister and mother, I decided to go to the bridal shop, make some changes to my wedding attire. Initially, I had booked a white lehenga due to pressure from my mum, but I wanted to change it to a traditional red one. I went to the shop with my future mother-in-law and sister-in-law to make the changes. While we were at the shop, my mother and sister showed up unexpectedly. My mother started creating a scene, calling me ungrateful and disrespectful for changing the lehenga color. Sarah, seeing the red lehenga, lost her temper. She tried to persuade the shop assistant to switch it back to the white one, but when that didn't work, she completely lost control. A few days later, Sarah went back to the shop alone and demanded they change my red lehenga to white. When the shop assistant refused, Sarah went berserk. She grabbed a bottle of dye and started spilling it over all the lehengas in the shop, screaming that if she couldn't have her way, no one else would. The shop staff called the police, and when they arrived, Sarah threatened them, saying she would make sure they regretted arresting her. Sarah was taken into custody for property damage and threatening a police officer. Her boyfriend then contacted me, demanding that I pay for her bail and give up my wedding, saying that all this happened because of me. I refused, standing my ground, but I shouldn't have to sacrifice my plans or finances for her irrational behavior. As a result, Sarah had to cancel her wedding and sell their car to cover the bail money. Her boyfriend, unable to handle the drama and financial strain, broke up with her. Story 2. Aunt broke my model kit, so I took her away for everything. Plus update. Original post. This whole thing started exactly a year ago, but just ended, and a friend told me to post here, so off we go. I live in Turkey, and as you know, southeast of my country was wrecked by a couple of giant earthquakes a year ago. My city was the epicenter, and while the house I lived with my family wasn't destroyed, a lot of shells got knocked off, and on one of them was the one where I held my Gunpla kits. Out of all the kits I had, only one survived, an MG, the one that was heavily customized. I had built it with my grandfather, who passed away a few years ago, so I was ecstatic it survived. A few months after everything had calmed down, my mother called her relatives for dinner, which included Aunt B, not for bitch. Her name does start with the letter B. She came alongside her son, who is 8, and is an entitled brat. While the adults were drinking coffee, this little brat barged into my room and demanded to play with my computer, which I refused, since I was editing a video for my college society and had the camera on. Well, the brat went back crying to her mother, who came and started yelling at me. While I was dealing with her little brat climbed my desk and took my model kit, then immediately dropped it and stepped on it. Rest is just yelling, me swearing them up and down and telling them they were gonna pay for it, with her mum calling me a weirdo for still having toys, and that she wasn't gonna pay for shit. My mother was, at first, not really into making her pay to keep the peace, but when she realized it was the kit I made with my late grandfather, which is her father, she was angry of an eye and went out for blood. We took the case to a friend of ours who is a lawyer that specializes with in-family cases, and they told us, since my camera caught it all, we would definitely win it, but it was better to come to an agreement out of court in a settlement, since it could be cheaper. I pulled out a price list of the kits I needed to make an exact replica of the one that was destroyed, and it came in just about $1,000, which is about 25 to 27,000 Turkish lira with the current exchange rate. Well, she refused, so we took her to court. She pulled all kinds of bullshits to not pay and delay, but the judge ended up making her pay $1,650 plus an order for her to pay any border taxes on the replacement kits, alongside the court and lawyer fees. It completely effed her savings, and her husband, who was already waiting for a chance to divorce her, took it. When it all ended up, she had nothing, and even lost her brat's custody to her ex-husband. And she not only lost the down payment she had for a house, she lost all her savings and didn't get alimony from her husband. Am I happy her life got completely effed? No, not really. Do I feel sorry it happened? Not in the slightest. She and her crutch goblin effed around and got found out. It's that simple. I feel bad for her husband though. He's gonna be the one trying to make that brat into a normal person, and I don't envy him in the slightest. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Comment 1. This is nuclear indeed. More because of the fallout than the blast itself. Comment 2. This is probably the best outcome possible for the little kid. I've always considered raising kids to be this way as a form of abuse, and it's really sad it happened to him. I hope he's able to recover from this. OP on the relationship between his mother and the aunt. OP. Cousin by a degree. That cousin's mother was the sister of my mother's mother. That's the relation. And she basically banned anything about her near us when she realized what was the kit her child broke. OP on the price of the model kit. OP. It's an old kit, not reprinted in a long time. So all the ones that are sold now are sold by people that sell them on for a big profit. And since most other places don't deliver to Turkey, I looked at the few that do. And the cheapest one I saw was on eBay at $700 back then. When you add the border tax, that's around 30 to 40% of the kit's price, and the prices of other kits needed to do the same customizations I had done on the original. It easily passes $1,000. Commenter. In all fairness, it was her kid who was a brat. Aunt just wanted OP to let her feral child play on his computer, so she would get a break from him for a bit. Kid decided to punish OP by destroying the kit. But also, while I can't speak for Turkish law, in the US the statute is to make you whole. OP had a fairly valuable collector's item destroyed and has every right to having that exact kit replaced, not a refund of the amount he originally spent, but that specific collectible. And if it's gone up in value over the years, then, well, that's why you should teach your child to respect other people's things. OP. We do have something called replacement value. which basically includes everything needed to remake the thing that got destroyed, including handiwork. For example, let's say you bought a 20k car years ago, and now it's worth 100k, but you also had it very well taken care of, so getting one at exactly that condition is going to cost you 200k. If someone destroys that car, or damages it to the point of repairs will cause it to lose too much value, then they have to pay 200k plus any additional handiwork or tax payments. OP on if everything is okay in the area due to the earthquakes. OP. Yeah, it was maddening. My city, Gaziantep, gets a few small ones every few years, but nothing to this degree. I remember seeing the next building to our house bend like a straw and collapse on the middle. It was horrifying. I don't remember how I did it because I went to sleep only minutes before the earthquake started, but I somehow got fully dressed and picked up both my laptop and my PS5 without any cables or mouse etc, while my family could barely put their jackets on. It's all a blur. 1 second I had fallen off the bed because of the shaking, and next I was in the car with my family with my laptop and PS5 on my lap. I can't lie. Coming back a week or so and seeing our house still standing, then getting the test results that it wasn't damaged in the earthquake was one of the happiest moments in my life. Now for the update. Update. Hey, I'm not sure this is how updates are done in this subreddit, but the shitstorm continued and some people were asking for updates, so here it goes. Well, the time the judge gave my aunt to pay what she owed me came and went, but she didn't make any payment at all. So we legally had to push the case into legal collectment. Cops went to her house, but she wasn't there. She was in her house but didn't make any noise. So cops had to leave and get a search permit to enter to look for her. They found her inside, having sold everything and ready to illegally leave the country to not pay anything and start a new life abroad. When they were apprehending her, she attacked the cops, actually clawed the eye of one, causing permanent damage and adding multiple charges to her file. She was taken to court again, this time for more crimes alongside not making a payment in time, the court told her last time. I'm not sure if I can legally list all the things she was charged with, but in the end, she got 18 years and 9 months jail time, with no chance of parole until the 15th year. And yes, since she had sold her everything to leave the country, the court took the amount she had to pay us, recalculated to today's tax numbers and exchange rates, before putting the rest of the money in an account that her son would get when he is 18. As for the brat in the first post, I've been told that when her husband divorced her, he had gotten custody. Well, the kid's personality was so bad, he took him to a psychiatrist, which decided because of my aunt's shitty parenting, he was showing personality issues. He is now in a pre-military boarding school for troubled kids, which he hates completely. As for the money, I would love to say I used it to get the parts necessary to remake the kit, but I had to put it in a saving account. The government recently changed border tax systems, so the previous money became a substantial amount with the new numbers, like hilariously so. As much as I would love to spend it all on Gunpla, I have to think about the future, so it's going to stay in a savings account getting fatter by the day until I graduate. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you.